There's a study that followed two groups of people for 20 years. Same income, same city, same opportunities. By the time they hit their 50s, one group had quietly accumulated life-changing wealth. The other had almost nothing. The researchers expected to find big differences: different jobs, different luck, different inheritances. What they actually found was far more disturbing. The only real difference was 10 habits. 10 small, almost invisible habits that most people never even realize they have. And the worst part? The people in the second group thought they were doing everything right.
Here's what nobody tells you about turning 30. It's a financial turning point that most people completely sleepwalk through. In your 20s, financial mistakes are cheap. You recover fast. The compounding math is still in your favor. Time covers a lot of sins. But after 30, the math shifts. Every year you wait to fix a bad money habit costs you more than the year before. Not a little more, exponentially more. A single destructive habit at 32 can quietly steal more from your future than 5 years of bad decisions in your 20s ever could. And most people have not one of these habits, they have several. But here's what I want you to understand before we go any further. These are not habits born from stupidity. They are habits born from the way we were taught to think about money. And that means they can be unlearned. My name is Misbah, and I've spent years studying the psychology behind why intelligent, hardworking people stay financially stuck while others quietly build real wealth. If that's the kind of conversation you want to have, make sure you subscribe, because this channel exists for exactly this purpose. Now, let's talk about what's actually holding you back.
Habit 1. Optimizing for income instead of net worth. Most people spend their entire careers chasing a higher salary. And on the surface, that makes complete sense. More money in means more money available, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Research consistently shows that income and wealth are far less connected than people believe. There are teachers who retire with more invested than doctors. There are truck drivers who die millionaires while lawyers die broke. The reason is this: income is what you earn. Net worth is what you keep. And after 30, chasing income without protecting net worth is like filling a bathtub with a drain wide open. The habit that actually builds wealth is asking a different question. Not how do I earn more, but how much of what I earn is actually mine to keep. That shift in thinking changes everything.
Habit 2. Lifestyle creep that moves faster than income growth. Picture this. You get a raise, a real one, maybe 15%. You feel it. You celebrate. 6 months later, you're just as tight as before. What happened? Your lifestyle expanded to match your new income, sometimes before the first paycheck even arrived. This is lifestyle creep, and it is the single most effective wealth destroyer for people in their 30s and 40s. Here's the part that makes it insidious. None of the individual purchases feel irresponsible. A slightly nicer apartment, a car that's a little newer, dinners out that used to be special occasions becoming regular Saturdays. Each decision is defensible. Together, they are devastating. The habit that separates wealth builders from wealth consumers is this: every time income rises, savings rate rises faster. Not the same speed, faster.
Habit 3. Keeping money in cash instead of putting it to work. There is an account somewhere right now, probably a savings account or a checking account, where money is sitting completely still, earning almost nothing. And the person who owns that account thinks of themselves as responsible, as a saver. But here's what they're missing. Holding cash feels safe, and in the short term it is. But over a decade, over 2 decades, cash loses every single time. Inflation eats purchasing power slowly, the way water erodes stone. You don't see it happening, but one day you look and the damage is already done. The people quietly building wealth after 30 understand something fundamental. Cash is not an investment. It's a waiting room. The goal is to spend as little time in that waiting room as possible.
Habit 4. Treating debt as a normal part of life. At some point, carrying debt became normalized. Car payments, credit card balances, buy now, pay later, student loans stretching into middle age.
And when something is normalized, it stops feeling dangerous. But here's the truth about debt that most people never actually sit with. Debt doesn't just cost you interest, it costs you options. Every pound, every dollar, every euro you send to a creditor each month is a pound, a dollar, a euro that cannot go to work for you. It's not just money lost, it's the compound growth of that money lost for years, sometimes decades. One of the quietest differences between people who build real wealth and people who don't is how they think about debt. Wealthy people see debt as temporary, strategic, and uncomfortable. Everyone else sees it as furniture. Now here's where this gets genuinely surprising. Because the next habit on this list isn't about spending, it isn't about saving, it isn't about investing. It's about something most financial content completely ignores, and it might be the most expensive mistake on this entire list.
Habit 5. Underinvesting in your earning potential. Most people treat their career as a fixed variable. They're in an industry, they have a salary range, they move up slowly over time. But what if the most powerful financial investment you can make after 30 isn't in the stock market? What if it's in yourself? Think about the math for a moment. A $10,000 investment in the right skill, certification, or network can increase annual income by $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 permanently. No index fund on earth offers that return. The people who build real wealth after 30 often have one thing in common. They are always, quietly, making themselves more valuable. Not louder, not more visible, more valuable.
Habit 6. Making financial decisions based on monthly payments. This one is subtle, but it is everywhere. Can you afford it? Has been replaced by a completely different question for most people. Can you afford the monthly payment? And that shift in thinking has made consumer debt a trillion-dollar industry. Because almost anything feels affordable if you spread it thin enough. A $55,000 car becomes $800 a month. A $4,000 sofa becomes $120 a month. A vacation becomes 36 installments. But here's what that thinking hides: the total cost, the opportunity cost, the interest cost, and the cumulative effect of making this kind of decision dozens of times across a lifetime. Wealthy people think in total price and opportunity cost. Everyone else thinks in monthly payments. That difference alone accounts for more of the wealth gap than most people will ever realize. But now we need to talk about something harder, because the next 3 habits aren't really about money at all. They're about psychology. And psychology, as it turns out, is where most financial battles are actually won or lost. Habit 7. Using spending to regulate emotion. Most financial advice ignores this completely, and it's a serious mistake. After a bad day, a hard week, a difficult conversation, what happens? For a lot of people, the answer involves a purchase. Not a major one, usually something small enough to not feel significant. But spending to feel better is a pattern, and patterns compound just like interest does. The problem isn't the purchase itself. The problem is what that purchase replaces. Every time we spend to manage discomfort, we interrupt the process of actually dealing with whatever caused the discomfort. Over years, this doesn't just hurt your bank account. It builds a relationship with money that is driven by emotion rather than intention. And emotional money decisions, made consistently over a lifetime, almost never build wealth. Habit 8. Comparing yourself to the wrong people. Here's a question most people never think to ask. Who exactly are you comparing yourself to? Social media has made this invisible and constant. You're surrounded by curated images of people who appear to have more. Better holidays, better cars, better homes. But what you're almost never seeing is their balance sheet. Studies on high-income earners consistently show the same thing. Many of the people who look wealthy are not. They are highly leveraged, high-spending, low-net-worth individuals who have mastered the performance of wealth. And every time you adjust your own spending to keep up with that performance, you subsidize their lifestyle at the cost of your own future. The only comparison that matters is the one between who you are today and who you want to become. Everything else is noise.
Habit 9. Waiting for the perfect moment to start. I'll start investing once the market settles down. I'll build my emergency fund once things stabilize at work. I'll think seriously about money once I'm making more. These are not plans. They are permission structures. Permission to not start. And here's the brutal truth about waiting for the perfect moment. It never comes. The market is always uncertain, Life is always complicated. There will always be a reason to delay. The people who build real wealth are not people who found the perfect moment. They are people who started in an imperfect one. Because starting imperfectly at 31 will always beat starting perfectly at 41. The math on that is not even close.
Habit 10. Treating financial education as optional. Here is perhaps the most important thing I'll say in this video. The financial system is not neutral. It was built by people who understand money deeply, for people who do not. Every confusing credit card agreement, every opaque fee structure, every investment product that sounds better than it is, these are not accidents. They benefit from your confusion, deliberately. And the single most powerful thing you can do after 30 is refuse to stay confused. The people who quietly accumulate real wealth are almost always people who take their own financial education seriously. Not because they love spreadsheets, not because they find it thrilling, but because they understand that the alternative is being on the wrong side of every financial decision they make for the rest of their lives. Knowledge is not optional. It is the only thing standing between you and a system designed to extract value from you at every turn.
Here's what I want to leave you with. None of these 10 habits are signs of failure. They are signs of a financial education system that taught most of us almost nothing useful. That taught us what money is, but never how money actually works. That taught us to earn, but never to think. Every single habit on this list is learnable. Every one is reversible. But reversal requires something most people are reluctant to do. It requires looking honestly at the habits you already have, not the ones you wish you had. The most expensive financial decision most people ever make isn't a bad investment or a missed opportunity. It's the decision to keep doing what they're doing. Because familiar is comfortable, even when familiar is costing you everything. The habits that got you to 30 will not get you to where you actually want to be. The only question is when you decide to change them. Which of these 10 habits surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if this changed how you're thinking about money, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach people who need to hear it. There's a video coming next week on why most people's retirement plans are built on a mathematical assumption that simply doesn't hold up anymore. You won't want to miss it.